So the first talk is a joint talk by Michela Varaniolo from Université de Cergy-Pontoise and Eric Vassero from Institut de Mathématiques de Jussieu. So the talk is entitled Double Affine Hecke Algebras and Hecke Algebras Associated with Queries, and it will be presented by Eric Vassero.
Okay. First, I will begin the talk with an introduction to Hecke algebra. So I just want to explain. So there are several points of view how two ways to see it, either from representation theory or either from geometry. And so the first point of view from the representation theory, I will explain how it comes in representation of. I will recall how it comes in representation theory of finite reductive group, because and the motivation is because the categorical structure that I will describe later is partly motivated by this description. And after I will say a few things about geometry, which is useful, of course, later on. So first we begin by Cartan-Dalton. So as usual, with weight lattice, simple root and simple co-root, and you have the corresponding root and co-root lattices. And from this Cartan-Dalton, we define to this Cartan-Dalton we associate a generalized Cartan matrix, and we suppose that A is a generalized Cartan matrix, so it means that it satisfies standard relations. And so associated to this, you define the Weyl group, which is generated by simple reflection. And what is important is that it is a Coxeter group, so it has a presentation given as usual. And so the typical example it will be that we will often assume that either the Cartan-Dalton is of affine type or either it is of finite type. And in both cases, so you associate to it Hecke algebra and the affine Hecke algebra in the usual case, so you have the Weyl group. You fix a commutative ring and a collection of parameters labeled by the simple roots. So for any of the Cartan-Dalton, you may consider either Hecke algebra or an affine Hecke algebra. But just note that here we do not assume that W is of finite type. W here may be also of affine type. So this construction will provide, in this case, the affine Hecke algebra of an affine Weyl group, so it is double affine substance, and this will be important later. So these are some standard construction. And now, how it comes in the case of finite reductive group. So suppose that you have a connected reductive group over an algebraic closed field of positive characteristic. And suppose you are given a Frobenius map and it's a finite group given by fixed point. And fix a parabolic and a Levy and an algebraic closed field of characteristic prime to P. So there is the usual Harry-Chandra induction functor, which is given from L to G. So just you inflate a representation first to the parabolic and after you induce. And for each module, when you have for each module over the Levy, when you take the induction factor, you obtain the module and you consider the centralizer algebra of this, the homomorphism. And so the reason to do this is well-known Harry-Chandra theory, which classifies the simple modules of the group up to isomorphism in terms of so-called Harry-Chandra series, so which are labeled by a Levy. You take for this Levy, you take a cuspidal module, so it means a module over the Levy which is killed by all non-trivial resection, and a module over the centralizer algebra, simple module, and you take everything over modulo some conjugation. And what is important to us is that when n is cuspidal like this, in general this algebra HL n is essentially an Eck algebra up to some few twists that I don't mention. So in characteristic 0 it's all result of all attenuable error, and in positive characteristic it is more recent. It is well understood. And so in this Harry-Chandra state theory, so the Eck algebra, what is important, appears as the endomorphism of is related to the endomorphism of an induction functor, or as you can also take the restriction functor, which is the adjoint of R of G, since the endomorphism of a functor and its adjoint are essentially the same. And so the typical example, if you take simply the FQ point of G, you obtain the Eck algebra whose parameter is cardinal of the field. But so this is not enough to our purpose. We need also to consider Eck algebra of non-Coxeter group. So typically complex reflection groups. So suppose V is a finite dimensional complex vector space. And so a complex reflection group is a subgroup generated by complex reflection, so which are automorphism which fix an hyperplane, but you do not ask that the eigenvalue are all real. There may be some complex eigenvalue. And so complex reflection group are classified, and for almost all of them it's possible to construct an Eck algebra. It's work of, which is given by an explicit presentation, Boehm and Rouquier. And the typical example, which will be useful later, is when you take a rest product. So you take the symmetry group Sn, and you take the skew product with n copy of cyclic group Z over dz. D is an integer. So this is a typical complex reflection group. And in this case, the Eck algebra of this complex reflection group has been introduced a long time ago by Haricke and Koike, and it can be obtained as a quotient of the affine Eck algebra of the symmetry group. Zn is a weight lattice, GLN, and you just add a degree D. D is this one. You just add a degree D polynomial relation more, and in the notation before x1 is x associated to the weight 1, 0, 0, 0 in Z. So it is a quotient of the affine Eck algebra in the sense I have recalled before. And so what is the relation with finite group of field type is that the Eck algebra of complex reflection group are supposed to take some role not in Harry-Chandra induction, but as endomorphism of some dual-linguistic induction. So more precisely, when you have an element W in the Weyl group, you can define the dual-linguistic variety. You take all the Borel subgroup in position in the algebraic group G in position W. And what for some W, the endomorphism, so the finite group G acts on the L-adic homology with the compact support of the dual-linguistic variety, and what is supposed to be a conjecture that in for some particular W's, the endomorphism algebra of this should be indeed the Eck algebra of complex reflection group. Okay, so this is a point of view, say, from representation theory. And what I need also to recall is how it comes from in geometry. In geometry. So for geometry, we suppose that you are in characteristic 0, so you take a reductive group connected over C. And we consider its Flag manifold. And so the first typical construction is well-known construction of Cauchy-Lustig and Ginzburg. So you take the Steinberg variety. You can see it as a set of triples of 2 Borel and unipotent in the intersection of the radical. And so this has it has an algebraic structure of variety, and there is a natural action of G, which acts diagonally on the Borel and by conjugation on U, and C star, which act by the powers of the unipotent time. And so you consider the grothatic group of the category of equivalent coherent sheaves on this on the Steinberg variety, plus some convolution product, an associative, not commutative product, which is given by some standard way by direct image and inverse image, also copy of the B. And so what is so the main result is that as an associative algebra, it is isomorphic to the affine algebra of W. And for the weight lattice, in the case of a simply connected group. And this construction has some other several analogues. First, instead of taking Eck algebra, you can also consider the graded affine Eck algebra. So in this case, you replace K theory by equivalent homology, or Hilmor homology, and you obtain the graded Eck algebra in the sense of Lustig. And in this case, instead of writing in terms of homology, you can also describe the affine Eck algebra as a Unida extension of some constructible complex. I'll come to this later. And another typical example is you just change slightly the Steinberg variety. So instead of taking the Steinberg variety, you just simply take 2 copies of the flag variety, and you take the group G, which act diagonally, and B, and you take the equivalent homology plus essentially the same convolution product. And in this case, what you recover is what is called the affine Liedeke algebra. So it is built as before. Simply you take the braid group, you take the algebra of the braid group over some ring, and you simply quotient by the square of the generators of the simple reflection. And there is an affine version, which is before, you just add some polynomial variables labeled by the weights, and some mixed relation. So what we're interested is to study a representation theory of Eck algebra and some analogs such that nil affine Eck algebra and some other one I will give later. And by geometrical method, so by geometric method I mean realization of this algebra by the construction of this type, or also some categorical method. So these are methods which are closely related to what I have recalled about finite reflection group. And also one of the goals is to apply it to a representation theory of some standard object. So one of the goals is to apply it to the representation theory of modular representation of finite Chevalier group. So I will not speak of this today, but it is one of the main applications of what I will speak. So rather to speak of modular representation of finite Chevalier group, I will describe the situation for say what you have to see as a toy model. It is a rational double affine Eck algebra. So it is an algebra which is defined over C. Everything is complex, but it appears that its representation theory is very analogous to the one of a finite Chevalier group. So this algebra is the following. So RDH means rational double affine Eck algebra. So you begin, the input is a complex reflection group as before. So V is finite dimensional complex vector space. And so it is, you have the set of complex reflections which generate W. And for each of them, you fix an equation of the corresponding interplane, so alpha S and the dual element is a contragradient representation, and you normalize in the usual way. And you fix also a parameter. So before the parameter was qi, here the parameter is a sort of logarithmic version. So for each complex reflection up to conjugation, you fix a complex number. And so the algebra, the rational level-affine algebra associated to this data is defined. It can be defined in the following way. You take inside the endomorphism algebra of this polynomial algebra C of V, V is a reflection representation. You take the subalgebra which is generated by W, simply the algebra of multiplication by the polynomials, by C of V, and you add another part which is generated by what are called the Dunkel operator, Dunkel-Obdam operator. So it's a family of commuting operator labeled by an element of V. So dy is a differential, and you add some term. So S is a reflection, which act in V, and so on any function. And this is some say rational expression. There is a denominator, but you can check that it preserves the polynomial by some usual simple fact. And which is not trivial is that this all commute and generate a commutative algebra which is isomorphic to C of V star. And so it is algebra generated by this. So it has also an explicit presentation that I have not written. But inside this category of representations, there is a nice subcategory which is defined as follows. We take the modules which are finitely generated over this polynomial algebra and which are locally impotent over the Dunkel-Obdam operators. So it is a nice category of endomorphism of modules are finite dimensional over C. And so the structure of this category is what is called the highest weight category. So I will say very shortly after what it means. And so in a few words, it simply means that in some way you can describe in some combinatorial way the category. And the other fact is that there is a quotient factor to the representation category of the Hecke algebra of W. By quotient factor, it simply means that if you quotient the category O by a third subcategory, so a category which is generated by a finite collection of simple modules, you obtain so HW and Kz for Nizik-Zamolodchikov is simply the stupid quotient factor. So it's important because it means that it is a way, so this category can be described via the combinatorics of highest weight category, which is quite useful, nice, and so it is a way to describe the category of Hecke algebra. So what does it mean that it is a highest weight category? It means that besides the collection of simple modules, which in this case are labeled by irreducible module of W, there is another collection of standard modules, which are indecomposable module with a simple top equal to a lambda. So there is the same parameter for all collection of modules. And there is a partial order on the Laplace set, such that when you decompose in the botanic group a standard module, you have a triangular matrix as written. So the typical example of highest weight category is when you take the regular block in the Bergsteiger-Fingerfeld category of a semi-simple complex Lie algebra. So in this case, the standard modules are simply the Verma module. So rho is half the sum of the positive root, and L is a simple module which is the top of the Verma module. And in this case, it is known that the decomposition matrix, the entries are given by the value at 1 of some polynomials which are called Cauchy-Lustig polynomials. And what is also important is that if you replace 1 by q, so you obtain a q version of the multiplicity. So this q version of the multiplicity corresponds to a grading of the category. So it means that if you see this, you you take a projective generator of this category. So you can view O of naught is Morita equivalent to the module category of the endomorphism of this projective generator, which so you can see it as simply as a category of module over some particular ring. So what it means that this ring has a graded version such that each of these modules, the simple and the Verma, also admit a graded version over this graded ring. And in the graded picture, the graded multiplication are exactly given by putting a Q in the, by taking this Q analog of the multiplicity. And also what is known is that this graded version is what is called causal. It means that the grading has some positivity, satisfies some positivity condition, and also that it is some very nice homological properties. So from a purely homological point of view, to say that it is causal simply means that each time you have a simple module, simple graded module, there's a graded version of O of naught, you can resolve it by some projective modules which are graded, and we simply ask that we impose that the resolution is what is called linear. It means that the projective which appears with degree I is generated by this subset of degree I elements. So one of the questions is you take our rational double affine algebra. So one simple question is what is the decomposition matrix? So in this case, the standard modules are very easy to compute, and their dimension is very easy is well known. So if you understand this case, what are the A, you can deduce what is the dimension of the simple module. And is there a graded version? Is the graded version is causal, etc. So you have all these standard problems, which are simply a generalization of what we know. So in general, the answer to this is not known, except that in the case that I mentioned before, when you take this complex reflection group, which comes from the related to hierarchical algebra, so you take the Lorentz product of the symmetric group and the cyclic group. So in this case, the answer is yes to all the questions. So this highest rate category, the decomposition matrix is given also by some particular casuistic polynomial. If you put a Q in this polynomial, you obtain a graded version. This graded version is causal. And as I have said very shortly, when you have a causal category, there is a notion of causal dual, which is given in a homological way. In this case, the causal dual is explicitly known. It is exactly of the same type. You just change the parameters in some explicit way. So one of the goal of this talk is to explain how, for example, to prove this sort of result. And one of the main ingredients to do this is the notion of categorical representation. So I want to explain a little what is categorical representation. So before to introduce the notion of categorical representation, I need some more materials. So first I want to explain what is quivarical algebras. So first, the data, what it is. You take a symmetrizable Cartan matrix as before, so it means symmetrizable correspond to this condition, so some DX, like that. And you fix a graded commutative ring, so R0, assume it is a node, positively graded. And you fix some polynomials, so they satisfy some conditions that I have not written, explicit conditions, which depend of the Cartan matrix A. So this polynomial will play the role of parameters. They replace, they take the place of the QIs for algebras. And so the quivarical algebra is a graded algebra whose presentation is this one. So there are some polynomial variable xk, as in as for affine or nil Eker, affine nil Eker algebras. There is an element which plays the role of a braid operator, the sigma L. But there is also a collection of idempotent here, which are labeled by tuple of simple roots. So Eagle is a tuple of simple roots. So these are orthogonal idempotent, which are a complete system. And here you can recognize an analog of the Coxeter relation, and here the value is given by the polynomial Q, which is the parameter. Here you recognize an analog of how the polynomial variables commute to the braid operator. And here you recognize an analog of the braid relation in type A. And here V star is this big expression. So I will not say more about this. And but a typical example is a nil affine Eker algebra that I introduced before. In type A, if you take for the Cartan matrix of SL2, like this, so what you recover exactly it's in this case there is only one idempotent, so the idempotent is trivial, and what you recover is the nil affine Eker algebra that I have introduced before, that you can see as endomorphism algebra as a cohomology of the flag variety of type A. So this is a Eker algebra, and as before, we need a cyclotomic version, which plays the same role. And so for this, you fix the dominant weight of the root system, integral dominant weight, and for each vertex a simple root, you define a polynomial with R is a scalar, the ring of scalar of the algebra. It's called Zigranid R algebra. And you have this you fix a polynomial satisfying a few conditions that I have not written. And as before, you can define a cyclotomic equivalent algebra, which is a quotient of this one, quotiented by this sort of relation. So this is analogous to the relation that I wrote for arithmetical algebra sometimes before. So what is the relation between this and the representation? First, I want to define before to define the general, what is the general categorical representation, I have to define what are the simple one in some, so what is called the minimal categorical representation. So it will take the role of the simple representation in this theory. So you consider the following additive category. So you take projective module either over the Eker algebra or either over the cyclotomic Eker algebra. So this depends on the auxiliary dominant weight. So it's for a fixed integral n. So and that and this you have the corresponding Guattari groups. And so there is the induction of lattice functor, which is not difficult to see that as for symmetric group or Eker algebra, there are some natural inclusion like this. And these functors are exact, and so they induce on this group, first on the category, and then after on the group, they induce some operator which equivalent with the structure of the algebra. Now consider the Kac-Moody algebra with this Cartan matrix A. A is the Cartan matrix which serves to define the Eker algebra. And consider its nilpotent, the radical of a nilpotent Borel. And you have the corresponding quantum group. U is the quantum group of G, so the quantum enveloping algebra. So it's just a deformation of the enveloping algebra. And U minus is the deformation, corresponding deformation of the enveloping algebra of N. And so this algebra admits, there is U admit a theory of integrable module as for usual semi-simple complex Lie algebra, so labeled by dominant integral weights. So as a B algebra, so U is a B algebra. As a B algebra, this B algebra here is isomorphic to U, so to the U minus. Yes, it is isomorphic to the Guattari group of the projective of this category here. So it's due to Romanov and Loda. And if you take the cyclotomic quotient, what you recover is a simple module. So you can describe the action of U on this category by induction and resection functor, and you recover on the Goten groups exactly the integrable module. And there is a natural projection map from U minus, I have forgotten the minus here, so from U minus to L lambda, which in terms of module correspond exactly to taking the image in the quantity group of this functor. Just you push QH module to its quotient QH lambda, so this Plaisir projective. Okay, so these are the simple, so the minimal categorical representation. I have not yet defined what is the categorical representation, but it will correspond to the action, to some action on this category, the category of projective module over all QH. I will given the axiom later. But before to give the axiom, I just want to explain what is the relation between quiveric algebra and geometry. So it has a relation similar to the one of affine algebra that I have recalled before. So to do this, you have to restrict slightly your Cartan datum. You suppose your Cartan matrix is symmetric, not only symmetrizable, but symmetric. And so in this case, the Cartan matrix can be given by a quiver. You take you fix a quiver and you count the arrows of the quiver. It gives a matrix AG. You count the number of quivers from a vertex to another vertex. And you take the representation. Here you take a fixed graded representation, a graded vector space graded by the vertex set of your quiver, and you take the product of GL, and you have the moduli stack of representation of your quiver. So for each arrow you take a matrix algebra and you quotient by act by conjugation. And this means bracket means stack, so it's stack quotient, just a category of representation. And so use an action of some torus on this. And there is some induction functor, so this is, you can see it as a stack, a quotient stack. So you take constructible sheaves, body category of constructible sheaf of this stack, and there is a way to pass from a representation of graded dimension alpha times the representation of graded dimension beta to alpha plus beta with some functor defined by Lustig some time ago. And so here I have described for how to induce from two representations by transitivity. You can induce by an arbitrary number of representation n here, and you just induce by some representation whose dimension is just one vertex. No, instead of taking an arbitrary sum, you suppose that it is a symbol, and you induce the constant shift. You obtain a particular complex. Here you take the sum over all n tuple. I is a tuple here, I, so you have a big shift. And you consider the extension algebra of this. So you just have the extension of the derived category with the usual algebra structure of this, it's called the unit algebra. So as a graded, so it is graded because extension is graded, and it is exactly the quiveric algebra. So, and this I have some consequence, so I don't want to insist too much, but I will come back to this later. So this geometric construction of quiveric algebra implies that, so I have said before, you can identify the quantity group of module of this category to some quantum group. So it implies that the simple object defines some class here, and you can identify some class with some well-known object here, which is called canonical basis of Lustig and Cacciolaro. So this follows from this geometry description. So now I can at last arrive to the definition of categorical representation. So we have our quiveric algebra, which is associated to some Cartan matrix, symmetrizable Cartan matrix. QHG is the parameters of which are sub-collection polynomial. So a representation is the datum of a R linear graded category. So R linear just means that the Om are R modules. R is a commutative ring. Everything is graded, and the category is graded. It means that you have the notion of shift, another morphism of shift of the gradient on the category, and the Hom you can define some gradient version of the Homs. And so an integrable representation on C is first a decomposition of the category C as a sum of additive category labeled by weights, and after a pair of functors which mimics Schwalle generators of the quantum group, or the algebra, the Kac-Moody algebra G, so which behave as written on the set of weight. And you have also to fix some particular endomorphism of the functor as written before. Here you compose 2 times the functor and you fix a morphism like this. And you impose some conditions. So this one is just because I speak only of integral representation, it's not fundamental. But what is important is the remaining one. So you impose that this endomorphism of the functor satisfies some particular relation and exactly the relation of the equivalent algebra. So the relations that I wrote in a slide a few minutes ago. So the whole list of relations. And also you impose that the functor decomposes in this following way. So I have simplified because since everything is graded, I should have also to indicate some shift of gradient, but I have not simplified the equation. So you have the decomposition of some functor, and on everything, each of these functors there is action on the equivalent algebra as if. So it's a set of all this structure.
Excuse me. What is F with bold subscript?
It's a composition, so it's a tuple, as in for the. I said it indirectly when I speak of the listic induction. So when I is a tuple, say I1, I2 up to In, so you say Fi1 composed with Fi2, etc. And so this is, in substance, it is similar to what we did for Chevalley groups, finite Chevalley group. So where the Eck algebra comes from endomorphism of some induction functor. Here you have the Quiver Eck algebra, which is a sort of analog of Eck algebra, which is related to endomorphism of functor, which will be related to some endomorphism. So everything is the same style. And so, in particular, if you take the Grothendieck group, so this structure gives on the Grothendieck group a representation of G or its enveloping algebra, quantum enveloping algebra in the usual sense. And for example, the result that I mentioned before about the minimal categorification, now you can rephrase it in the following way. It says that for each lambda P plus, the induction and restriction factor on Quiver Eck algebra module give a categorification of this module on this category, which is a category of projective gradient module over all QH lambda n for all n. So it's just the same thing. So in this sense, so this now it has really a structure of categorical representation. It is what I call the minimal one. So why it is the minimal one? So it is this theorem, which is in some sense this theorem, the proof is very easy. So I have not the time to explain, but it is fundamental. So it says the following. It supposes that you have a categorical representation on a given additive category C, and suppose that you fix in C a highest weight vector, highest weight object of weight lambda. It means this is an object which is split. Its endomorphism is the base ring R, and which is split by all the functor EIs, which is this. Then you can embed the category, the minimal category related to this to G, yeah, and to this highest weight inside C. So fully faithful, it simply means that it's a sort of injection of category. So in one way, what's saying this theorem is that if you have two categorical representation, then they are complete of G. They are essentially characterized by their Grothendieck group. So it is a powerful tool to prove some equivalence of category when you have two categories with categorical representation to prove that they are equivalent as category. It is enough to compare their Grothendieck group, which is much easier to do. So it is exactly so I don't want to explain the proof because not a lot of time. So I want to explain that the theorems that I mentioned before about rational double affine algebra can be proved in the similar way. So you have a rational double affine algebra associated to a reflection group. First, we define some induction factor when you have a parabolic. You have some notion of induction factor which are not obvious at all because there is no natural inclusion of HW prime in HW, but you can define some induction factor in this case. And when you take the resection from W to 1, so H of 1 is just a resection to complex vector space, in the abundance of this, you use an action of the Eck algebra of W. So it means that each time you have a module over H over the double affine algebra H of W, you restrict to C, and on this underlying vector space there is a natural action of H of W. And now what we would like to explain is how to describe in this category of rational double affine algebra, how to describe the notion of cuspidal, as in for Harish-Chandra theory, and how to understand the endomorphism of induced or cuspidal module. So for cuspidal module, I will go very quickly. So they come from an affine version of Sprenger theory. There is a partial description of cuspidals. This I will not describe a lot of time, but I want to pass to the proof of theorem I mentioned before. So it considers the cyclotomic case. Take for W the rest product of symmetry group and the cyclic group Z of DZ. So we know its Eck algebra is a Raiki-Kolk algebra. So an important fact is that you take the category O, as I defined before, and you take over all N. So you have a category of module over the rational double affine algebra, and on this there is a particular categorical action of this cat model algebra SL affine. So it is a affine version of SL. So to define it, you have to define this category some induction and so factor EI and FI, and they are defined using the induction and resection factor of Bezrekov and Ettinghoff. You just have to decompose this factor in some particular direct summand, and you can define on this a particular categorical structure or representation of SL. So this is using this theorem and the unicity statement plus a lot of things. It's possible to prove. This explains. It's a way to prove the theorem I mentioned before. So it means that so it's the theorem that this theorem here using this. So using this unicity statement here, this one, and okay. So this is the first typical application of categorical representation. So here I just explained that it is, but I have already said this, that what I have described in this particular case, it is very similar to the finite Schrödinger group. So now I want to describe another application of categorical representation, also to category to Eck algebras, so of a different style. So it is about the representation theory of classical affine Eck algebra. So by classical I mean affine Eck algebra of classical types, B, C, D, etc. So first I want to explain what is the type A situation. So in type A situation, so we want to consider to study affine Eck algebra of type A over an algebraic closed field of characteristic, positive characteristic. So it is described by the so-called by the so-called Ariki theorem. So it is a bit similar to what we called before. You have your affine algebra, which was defined as here. You define a particular category of representation. You take the sum over all ranks. It's n. You take all finite dimension modules, a particular Abelian category, and you fix the spectrum of the polynomial part here. You fix it in a particular set I, and multiplication by Q. Q is a parameter of the algebra. Define an I, a particular Taylor structure, and to discover you can associate a cat-mode algebra as before. To occur, you associate a Cartan matrix and a polar algebra. So when you take the representation, you take this category of representation, you take its quadratic group, and its quadratic group has a natural structure of B algebra. I take the dual, it's not really important. And it is isomorphic to the negative part of the enveloping algebra of G. And in this, the simple module goes to what is called the P-canonical base. So what I want to say is that there is an analog for classical type, in type C. So there is a particular structure of algebra, U theta, which is a twisted version of quantum groups, and it has a theory of canonical basis. And if you take the representation category of Ecker algebra of type C, it can be identified with a particular module on this, and the simple module goes to an explicit basis, which is called a canonical base. So it gives a combinatorial way to describe simple module and third dimension of representation of affine Ecker algebra type C. And it works for other types also. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, maybe one quick question if there are questions. Yes.
So it looks like you categorize the simple modules. So can you categorize in decomposable modules?
It's not, for example, it depends on which, in decomposable module, for example, there is some standard way to categorize some particular semi-simple module, but not really other indecomposable modules. There is no, for example, gamma module, etc. No, this is not clear.
Okay. We'll start for